If you want to play jazz piano like this, then you're first going to have to learn how to do things like this. Hey, my name's Paul Tobey from jazzmental.com, and I've put together the ultimate beginner's guide to jazz piano. In this course, there are 10 very detailed and comprehensive video lessons. Each comes with sheet music, and many of them come with bass and drums backing tracks so you can practice your jazz rhythms. Make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to show you exactly how to register for the full course. In lesson 1, we talk about the introduction of seventh chords. Now, all Western harmony is based in thirds. If you take a look at your sheet music, you've got 1, 3, which is a major third, and then a minor third, creating a major chord. This is a minor chord, major chord, and so on. If you look at the last line, we actually introduce something called seventh chords, which is adding an extra third on top. 1, 3, 5, and 7. This makes a major seventh chord. This is a minor seventh chord. Minor seventh, major seventh, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, back to major 7. The reason why we need that is because all jazz harmony is based on something called leading tones, which is the third and the seventh. So in a major seventh chord, the third is the E and the seventh is the B. This is very important if you're going to put together good chord progressions. In lesson 2, I introduce you to shell voicings and how it pertains to jazz blues. So the blues progression is essentially 12 bars. If we were to apply shell voicings to the blues, in the left hand you'd have 1 and 7, and in the right hand you'd have the third and the root. If we were to play that with the bass and drums backing track, it would sound like this. One other thing I should mention about this course is that all the lessons are being done at the computer. So you'll see a keyboard at the bottom of your screen. Above that, another keyboard which highlights which notes are being played in blue. And then above that, you'll see which notes are being played on the staff by using a piece of software called Chords. If you've ever heard the expression, it's not what you learn, but how you learn it that matters. That's why I use the keyboard and all of the software so that you have a complete understanding of what's going on at all times. In lesson 3, we're going to talk about the cycle of fifths, also known as the circle of fifths. It's a concept in jazz that is absolutely imperative to understanding how chords move. So for example, if you go down a fifth each time, circle of fifths, you get something like this. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, and back to C. And then of course you can add sevenths to all of those chords to get C minor 7, to F 7, to B flat major 7, to B flat minor 7, to E flat 7, to A flat major 7. And that's what we call the cycle or circle of fifths. And then if we scroll down the sheet music from this lesson a little bit, you're going to get minor progressions. So from half diminished seventh chords to dominant seventh chords to minor seventh chords, like this. Chords that really start to sound like jazz. Lessons 1 through 3 have dealt with the basics of jazz harmony, seventh chords, shell voicings, things like that. Lesson 4 starts to work on your right hand soloing abilities. And to do that, we're going to introduce something called bebop scales. Now, bebop scales have 8 notes per scale versus the traditional 7. For example, a C major chord has this scale. It's only 7 notes. And then it gets back to 1. Bebop scales add an extra note to kind of even out the beat. So instead of 7 notes, you've got 8 notes per bar. So the bebop scale for minor 7th chords adds a single passing note. In the case of D minor, that note would be F sharp. Notice our left hand is comping on the and of 4 and the and of 2. Let's move on to G7, and we get this scale. Notice that the passing note is still F sharp for G7. It just starts on a different note, G instead of D. And then for C major 7, the passing note is A flat. And if we were to play that with the drums backing track that comes with the lesson, it would sound like this. And of course, we're also going to discuss the swing rhythms. Why play on the and of 4 and the and of 2? And how does the right hand actually understand swing rhythms by accenting the second note? Very important to understand that swing concept if you're ever going to get great at jazz. In lesson 5, we're going to be dealing more in depth with 2-5-1 progressions. 2 minor 7 to 5-7 to 1 major 7. We're also going to do minor 2-5-1 progressions. On your screen, I've put some common progressions for 2-5-1s and the voicings associated with them. For example, D minor 11 to G13 to C 6-9. Now, those chord symbols we discuss in detail and what they mean. It's basically adding to the tertian harmony. For example, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So you can always add 9, 11, and 13 in specific situations. And it's very important to understand where you can apply it and where you can't. Another progression would be D minor 11th to G7 flat 9 to C major 13. Those progressions really sound like jazz. Then you've got minor 2-5s, D half diminished 7th to G plus 7 to C minor 9. And then D half diminished 7th to G plus 7 to C minor 9. So you can see you can voice the same chords in a few different ways. So lesson 5 is all about understanding how to put two hands together to play 2-5-1 progressions, which makes up about 85% of all jazz progressions. In lesson 6, we're going to learn how to read a lead sheet. A lead sheet is one of the most iconic and important areas of jazz that you need to master. Take a look at the lead sheet on your screen. It's Autumn Leaves. It contains a melody note and some chord symbols. So we're going to talk about how to play a lead sheet and give you very specific examples on how to do this. Also in lesson 6, we're going to take the concept of the lead sheet a little bit further and look at Wynton Kelly's solo on the Miles Davis tune, Freddie the Freeloader. I really hope you're enjoying this summary of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Jazz Piano course. If you could just take a moment and click the thumbs up button, it really helps us here at the channel. If you want to subscribe, we'd love to have you. Just hit the little bell and we'll notify you of all the upcoming video tutorials that we're making. Lesson 7 is all about comping. Comping meaning how do you play behind a soloist and what do you do with your hands in terms of making the chord progressions. So there's a backing track to go along with this. We're going to play along with it. And once you've got that comping underneath your fingers, then we're going to move on to lesson number 8, which talks about the advanced jazz blues progression, this time in the key of B flat. There are different changes. We're going to talk about left-hand comping and right-hand soloing, specifically the blues scale. There is an exercise to go along with this one that comes with a backing track. Let's go ahead and play some of that exercise now. Yes, as you can hear, lesson 8 is a little bit more up-tempo than we've been doing so far. That's because you're on lesson 8 and it's a little more advanced. I'm sure most of you are familiar with hand and exercises in classical music. What I decided to do in order to create more swing in our playing, which is absolutely necessary for jazz, in lesson 9, we're going to change Hannon and call it swing Hannon. And the exercise is on your screen and it goes like this. It's a lot of fun to do, and it absolutely helps with understanding swing and where the accents go. By lesson 10, you will have learned great jazz rhythms, how to comp, how to play right-hand lines. And this all comes together in lesson 10, and we're going to discuss the 5 jazz standards that every jazz pianist should know, and I'm providing sheet music for each of them. For example, we're going to talk about blue bossa. I really believe this is one of the most comprehensive jazz piano beginner courses out there. That's why I call it the ultimate beginner's guide to jazz piano. It's 10 full lessons. Each lesson comes with sheet music, and some lessons come with backing tracks. The value of the sheet music and the backing tracks alone is well over $100, let alone the comprehensive instruction. I'm going to put a link to register for the course up here in the corner. It's also in the description below, and you'll also notice a coupon code on your screen to grab a significant discount. I've set the price of the course at a very reasonable number, and with the discount coupon, it's even more attractive. And then when you complete the 10 lessons, I'd love it if you could send me a recording of yourself playing one of the exercises or jamming over one of the 5 jazz standards that I share in the final lesson. And if you're looking for more advanced studies because you think that you've got all of this covered, then I suggest you check out this video next.